Before we get to our show, here is a podcast we think you're going to love.
You are now entering The Mortuary, the bi-weekly podcast that offers you an immersive discourse into the occult, paranormal, and conspiracies of the world. We are your hosts of horror. I'm Brock.
And I'm Tanner. The Mortuary podcast was formed out of the passion and undying curiosity for the unknown. We seek to explore, expose, embrace, and experience all the things that go bump in the night. Join us as we dive into gruesome, real-life accounts of ghosts and demons, speculate on taboo conspiracies, and take phone calls from real people with real paranormal accounts.
You can learn more about us at themortuarypodcast.com, where you can also find exclusives and spooky blog posts. You can listen to The Mortuary on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and pretty much any other podcast platform.
So join us bi-weekly as we enter The Mortuary.
All right, go.
Why, hello. Mysteries. They're all around us. Welcome.
Keep going.
Perhaps it's you. With Liz and Samantha.
An unofficial.
I'm not going to tell you which one I am.
Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast.
Oh, it's so unofficial, y'all.
Not affiliated with Unsolved Mysteries in any way, shape, or form. Please don't sue us.
Pretty sure they hate us. So
they probably do.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's fine. How's it going?
I'm all right. There were some exciting developments in the world of crime this week.
There sure were.
I'm sure everybody already knows that they caught the Golden State Killer.
It's been a big week. Did you watch any of the press conferences or the arraignment?
I did not. Did you?
I streamed them while I was not at work.
Sure.
Doing not work things.
Sure.
It was exciting. It was really exciting. If you're a true crime nerd, or even if you're not, it seems like that book by Michelle McNamara kind of swept the nation. It's exciting. It's really cool.
Even if you're not really that into it because you're a normal person
who's not obsessed with murder.
Yeah. There is something about a serial killer that's been at large for that long finally being brought to justice.
Alive. Which I think is the main concern when it's been so long is, has this person died without justice being served?
Yeah. And hopefully the families of the victims can sleep a little easier.
Yeah.
Knowing that he is behind bars.
Yeah. That is a crazy case, and it is not talked about very much. It seems like the book really shed a lot of light on it.
Yeah,
and made me so surprised that it wasn't as
knew about it.
Infamous as, because the scope of his crimes are insane. How many attacks he did and how many murders he did. The fact that he's not a Ted Bundy, as far as in our popular culture, is kind of amazing. Maybe he will be. I mean, it seems like he might be now, but
yeah, now that he's caught and we know who he is,
Mm-hmm.
and I had something else to say, but I'm not going to say it. So, also this week, the murderer of Kim Wall on their homemade submarine was found guilty.
Which is great news.
Yes, that was a
That case is bananas.
Strange case. If you're not familiar with that,
look it up.
Look into it. The BBC did a good summary of everything that was learned about the case from the trial. I can post a link to that. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that he was found guilty, because him claiming that she just happened to die on his submarine and then he dismembered her corpse
for reasons makes little sense. He's clearly a sociopath.
That case is sad to me. She was just trying to write an article. It really breaks my heart, and it's also just weird. So
it's also a nightmare. Can you imagine being suddenly on a submarine with a psycho?
Just being on a submarine sounds like a nightmare.
Well, yes.
Much less there being someone that wants to kill you on it. So, oh my goodness, poor Kim Wall.
Nightmare. Bill Cosby getting found guilty.
Yes,
it's been a week, you guys.
Finally,
justice is being served left and right, and I'm here for it.
I could not believe that the first trial was not a guilty verdict. So, thank God.
Thank God, justice.
Yeah, and it was only for 3 victims due to stupid statute of limitations things, which there should not be a statute of limitations on rape.
There should not.
Just in case you're wondering how I felt about that.
Write your congresspeople and tell them what you think of that.
It's ridiculous. It's a violent crime. Yeah. There's no reason to I'm so angry I can't even articulate myself.
Big week.
Big week.
Do we have any other updates? I want to thank one of our amazing listeners who made or designed the shirt I'm wearing right now, which is the Mystery Solver shirt.
Yes.
You've probably seen it on our social media. It's amazing. And I'm really enjoying it. I bought it in purple.
So good.
And it's quite nice. It has Robbie Stackey on it.
Purple's a good color for you.
Thanks. I like the color. There's a lot of choices. You can get them on a towel. You can get a shower
ordered
curtain.
a towel. My towel has not arrived yet.
Your sticker did, though. I'm
My
looking at it right now.
It's on the laptop that we are using to record this. It's pretty cool. You can get a shower curtain. All of those things that Society 6 offers. Pillows.
You can get this really awesome Mystery Solver design
Of Robbie Stackey giving the peace sign that becomes the V.
of the Mystery Solver.
Yeah.
So you can, if you're a proud Mystery Solver,
Which you all are,
which
right?
everyone
You
is.
wouldn't be
I think
here.
all of our fans of our podcast are
Mystery
mystery solvers.
Sure.
You can tell the world. You can brandish it on a towel or a shirt. Long sleeve, short sleeve, tank top. You could wear nothing but this Mystery Solver shirt.
Which is
Just
what
be your
you
whole wardrobe.
should do. Oh, speaking of excellent apparel. When it's late at night, I have a bad habit of looking at eBay. It's a bad habit. Don't start doing that. Because then at like 2 a.m, things that you do not need seem like you really need them.
We've all been there.
But last night, what did I find? But the Unsolved Mysteries crew jacket.
It's amazing,
Which-
y'all. Go on our Facebook page and check it out.
Is a black denim jacket that says Unsolved Mysteries embroidered on the back. Mysteries is in pink.
Yes, you guys.
The collar is leather.
You guys.
I want it so bad. Someone buy that for me. Seriously. I'm
something.
begging you. They're asking for $250. You can maybe get them down. You can make an offer.
Sure.
I really, really want it.
You know, it could be a business expense.
I mean, I think it is, Samantha. I'll wear it for everything.
I
forever.
believe you that you would.
She's like, I have no doubt you would sleep in that thing.
You did buy the jacket that says just die on the back, which
Yeah.
I'm jealous of.
It's pretty good. My satin jacket that says die and is surrounded by like a rainbow.
I'm just waiting for someone to walk up to you on the street and be like, what does that stand for?
The inevitability
die.
of death that unites all of humanity.
It stands for die.
Yeah, it stands
You know,
for die.
people
like,
die.
You should die.
You just back away
Mac is
slowly.
convinced people are going to yell at me for wearing it. But
Not in Minnesota.
yeah, no.
That's not a thing that happens here.
Exactly.
People will just silently judge you, which is fine.
Yeah,
they do that anyway.
They're going to do that anyway.
So-
I'm cool with that.
No one is that overt about it in Minnesota.
No, I feel pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll maybe get a little side eye, but that's fine.
You know what? Fine.
Yeah, was it the Golden State Killer thing made for an exciting week?
It was super exciting. We actually read the book for book club, and I'm going to that after we record this
gonna be
podcast.
kind
So
of
it's
like
a
a-
full day of Golden State Killer discussion.
A little bit. I bought some flowers to celebrate. It was also National DNA Day,
Which
and he
is-
was caught because of DNA, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Now the debate is raging regarding Ancestry.com,
Yeah, that is
23andMe DNA databases
creepy.
and data
Yeah.
privacy and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But
understandably.
I mean, it's good that he was caught.
Yes.
So it's hard to argue with
doubt
that.
about that.
Do
Is
we
it
have any-
time to talk about mysteries?
I think so. We're on episode 5 of season 2. This one
We sure are.
is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know.
Do we
It's-
say that every time now?
Season 2's been a little mediocre. I don't know.
Apart from that nudist colony.
Yeah, that was the highlight so far. We're 5 episodes in, and for the most part, these episodes have been a little meh. This one's got some.
At least this one has 4 mysteries, which
Yes.
is the sweet
It
spot.
has 5 if you count the fucking orphan train segment all
I was
over again.
so sad to see that update in there.
I thought we had escaped it because we're out of season 1, and
Well,
then
we
it
did-
comes back for
We
us.
did call that episode "Let's Never Speak of the Orphan Train Again," and then they threw in that
Is this
cruel,
the
cruel
second
update.
update
I think so.
for the orphan train?
They keep saying, "Don't forget about the orphan train," and I was like, "Oh, I never will. It will haunt my nightmares forever." Thanks, Robert Stack.
Yeah, I'm done with the orphan
Nothing
train. Unsolved
sadder
Mysteries.
than the orphan train. Someone sent us a song that's about the orphan train, and I was like, "Absolutely not.
Not
I
even
will
listening.
not listen to that.
I haven't listened.
I haven't either, and I'm not going to."
Yeah,
because I cannot dwell on. If you want me to continue my life as a even slightly productive member of society,
you can't listen to the songs about the orphan train.
No, because I'm just going to break down.
I'd be better off not knowing that the orphan train even existed.
Probably not.
To be honest.
I mean, unless you're having an argument with someone, one of those people that's like, "Oh, it used to be better in the old days," and you can be like, "Really, the orphan train? How about this thing?"
They sold orphans on a train.
Yeah, it's the most depressing thing you've ever heard in your life.
So
I hate those people that are the good old days. Those don't exist.
No.
The orphan train proves that. If everything else, if all other like progress in society doesn't prove it, there's the orphan train. Maybe that's why they keep putting in the update.
Just to remind us.
Yeah.
Things used to be a lot worse, y'all.
Yeah.
There used to be orphan trains. Oh my god. Okay, you have the first one.
I have the first mystery. They called this a theft, even though also someone is missing.
Yeah, that's the bigger mystery.
And I guess I'm not so surprised that this person's workplace is more concerned with the theft than the fact that their employee is gone.
They're much more concerned with the theft.
But it is kind of... Capitalism is depressing.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, this is the case of Dale Kerstetter.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes. In Bradford, Pennsylvania. He went missing September 12th, 1987. He was a security guard and maintenance man for the Corning Glassworks plant. He began his shift at 11 p.m. and was never seen again. One of his coworkers finds his lunch sitting out on a table uneaten.
The next morning, because
he
worked overnights.
And I don't think really anyone else was there. He was the night watchman.
Yep.
So the next morning, someone comes in, finds his lunch just sitting there in his pail, uneaten. Underneath his newspaper is his maintenance ring of keys,
Yep. His car his truck is in the parking lot.
Yeah. And Dale is nowhere to be found. Oh, and the keys are in the ignition to his truck also.
Yep.
And he is just gone.
Missing.
Also, he left a full carton of cigarettes behind.
Which his kids were like, that would never happen.
Which is a very funny detail, but also, if someone is a serious smoker, they're not going to leave a carton of cigarettes.
A full carton of cigarettes, no
way. Much less, their lunch.
Right.
But the cigarettes is even more of a clue.
It is. Especially for this guy. So thinking that Dale had maybe suffered a heart attack or had otherwise fallen ill somewhere in the plant, which is very vast and labyrinthy. And for some reason, they bring in dogs before checking the security tapes. Made no sense to me.
I was so puzzled by that. So anyway, they bring in dogs to hunt down his scent. And
which how big was this factory?
That they can't even just look around.
Yeah.
Apparently not. So the police dogs, go around his usual security route, but then they also go to the place called the Tank, which I feel like they just brought up to sound dramatic.
I think so.
Oh, we call that the Tank. Whatever. It's just part of the kiln for the glassworks that he, for some reason, wouldn't have been on his route.
Yeah.
Which also, again, makes no sense because that's where the valuable platinum pipe is. But for some reason, that was not part of his securing the building route.
Yeah.
The part where the valuable stuff was.
Not much of this makes sense.
I have a lot of questions about how Corning Glassworks does their business. Yes. That makes zero sense to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, these dogs are and they're like, what was he doing in the tank? Let's check the security tapes. The thing you think
maybe
we
they could have done first.
So they check the security tapes and then they go, oh shit, there's a masked burglar on these tapes wearing a black ski mask, just like you would expect a burglar to wear.
Yep.
And at one point is seen speaking to Dale. So the question becomes, is Dale a victim or is Dale an accomplice?
Yes. And also, strangely, conveniently, there was no security camera on the valuable shit.
No,
it was just
not.
in this one part.
Also, It's worth pointing out that the footage you see in Unsolved Mysteries is a reenactment. It's
the
not
security footage.
the actual security footage.
Which also makes no sense to me. You're trying to catch these guys. I understand they're wearing masks, but...
I don't know why they did that. And also, if you're one of the people on Unsolved.com making a lot of speculations based on the security footage, that's not the real security footage.
No!
So saying like, oh, by the way he walked... No. Because that's not real.
No, you could make those kinds of speculations if it was the real footage.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's made up.
About their height or what they're wearing or how they walk. But you can't because
So you
it's not
see
real.
Dale interact with the masked man, and at one point Dale looks up at the security camera directly, and then people speculated, was he coolly flaunting his crime, as one of the cops said, and I was like, no.
Or was he signaling?
Was it a desperate cry for help? His children pointed out if he was really in on the crime, he knows where the security cameras are. He could have turned them off.
Yes.
Or covered them up.
Or there was only, like, based on the reenactment, one security camera. Like,
yeah,
maybe
they could have
he
easily avoided it. So
it wasn't pointing towards the stuff they were stealing, so...
No.
Wouldn't be that hard.
The end of the footage, you see the masked burglar, or... Well, they reenacted, but the last thing seen is the masked burglar using like a pallet lift to move something in a heavy black bag. Was that Dale's body? Was
it
that
the
the platinum pipe that was worth $250,000?
Who knows?
Who knows? It's all speculation. You do get to see Robert Stack in like a boiler room. He seems slightly uncomfortable. He's trying to make it work.
He did. He was putting on a good performance.
Yeah.
It was a little strange, though.
Yes.
You see Dale's mom, who, like, totally thinks he did it.
Yeah. Dale's mom is like, well, he's guilty, but that means he's, like, a nut. She was, like, disappointed in him. His children were like, no.
He wouldn't have left us.
He wouldn't have left us.
And
He
never
has
said
children
goodbye.
and grandchildren. And the arguments the police were making that it was him was that he had been demoted. He used to be a tradesman. They demoted him to be night watchman. That was like for some reason they didn't know exactly how much, a $5,000 to $7,000 pay cut.
It's big range, but
Yeah.
substantial, at least.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yes.
He wasn't happy about it. Why would he be?
Right.
Also, he was $30,000 to $40,000 in debt. Mm-hmm. So maybe someone approached him and he needed the money. But his children were like, you know what? His children are actually well off. We could have helped him.
Yes.
He could have declared bankruptcy.
Although his one son was like, I think he ran off to Canada, and when the statute of limitations is up, he's going to waltz on back.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Sadly, it did not happen.
No, it didn't.
I wish that had happened. That he had just like waited out the 7 years. That was apparently the statute of limitations for whatever he would be charged with.
Just come back.
Yeah, and then just be like, hey, everyone, sold off that platinum. Where's my cigarettes? But
That's not what happened.
that's not what happened. His family, yeah, it's interesting that even within his family, there's this real range of opinions of whether or not he was involved. The daughters are absolutely not. His son is like,
That'd
I
be the
hope
coolest
he
thing
did
ever.
it. Yeah. It'll be the best thing my dad ever did was steal that platinum. And his mom is already like, tisk, tisk, tisk. The cops clearly think that he was involved. I don't see any evidence of that.
Not really.
He is just one guy that was reluctantly guarding this glassworks at night. I think if people showed up to steal things, he would be like, go ahead.
It seems like what he did.
Yeah, like, is he going to put his life on the line for Corning Glassworks, the place that
After
just
they
demoted
demoted
him?
him?
No.
Probably not.
No. I feel like some robbers or a robber showed up, was like, I'm here to steal that platinum, tell me where it is. And he was like, it's in the place we call the tank. Right?
That I don't guard and that isn't under
that
security.
I don't guard, that we've not bothered to secure, that doesn't have a security camera.
Here you go.
Because they seemed very fixated on the fact that the robber, like, knew his way around.
I think the robber could have just threatened Dale.
Yeah.
And Dale would have showed him.
Yeah. Maybe the robber is a former employee, since it seems you don't treat your employees very well. Also, you didn't secure your building.
Yeah.
I have very little sympathy for Gordon Glassworks.
No, and they went out of business, right? Is that...
I think so.
That wasn't the update?
I don't even care.
It was under new ownership, and they no longer use platinum.
They did really want you to know they no longer use platinum. Please do not go rob them for their platinum. We do not have platinum. It's almost suspicious.
Right.
How adamantly they denied having platinum. I think Dale is a victim of this robbery.
It seems like it.
He was never seen again. It's unsolved. I think he was just in the way of stealing some platinum.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There are a bunch of people on unsolved.com that think Dale showed up in Norway dead a week later because there is a case that someone made a documentary about this unidentified body in Norway found by cigarettes, Samantha. And after all, Dale's the only person in the entire world that smokes.
Is that the only reason they think that was him?
It kind of looks like him.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't look at the pictures, so I can't really confirm how much it looks like him.
I'm going to Google it right now.
I don't know why he would have ended up in Norway, but perhaps the person stealing this is an international thief. We don't know what happened to him. That seems a little far-fetched, but it doesn't mean it didn't. Dale was declared legally dead in 2014. And that's that.
Well, yeah, that's sad.
If anyone wants to steal some platinum for me so they can buy me that jean jacket.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I will look the other way. Or will I look right into the security camera, coolly flaunting your crime?
That's hilarious. I can't find the picture. I'll look for it and maybe post it on Instagram if it exists. The side-by-side of Dale and unidentified dead person in Norway.
Yeah.
How would he get to Norway? That makes no sense.
Yeah. I think people want this to be more interesting than it is.
Yeah, and people don't... I mean, the unsolved ones are the worst because...
Yeah, it is terrible to not know.
It's never going to be solved at this point.
I really don't think so.
And that's hard to live with.
People were speculating that didn't think he was dead in Norway, that possibly they had forced him into a kiln or furnace at the plant.
They would have found traces of that.
Would
it was
they?
the next day. I would think.
I don't know. Anyway.
Maybe.
We'll probably never know what happened to Dale.
Yeah, sadly.
Sorry, Dale.
Should we talk about some ghost lights now?
I mean, always.
Always. So, our next segment...
Samantha's like waking me up in the middle of the night. Hey, Liz, let's talk about some ghost lights. Okay.
Actually, our next segment is the orphan train, but...
No, it is not. Because we're not talking about the orphan train
so
anymore.
Mad at Unsolved Mysteries for bringing that back. So, the ghost lights... So, this is the unexplained. We open with a scene of cowboys herding cattle across the plain. Well, at this point, it was unexplained. We find out later that it's totally explained. But... So, in this reenactment, the sun is setting. It's actually really pretty. Yeah. This opening, it's like a beautiful orange sunset. These cowboys are herding cattle across the plain. It's well shot.
It's not bad.
I liked it. Robert Stack's voiceover says that 1883, plains of central Texas near the town of Marfa. Cattle were herded by the thousands across this arid country.
Wow.
I know.
Just
painting a picture for you. One evening during a roundup, cowhand Robert Ellison noticed a strange glow off in the distance. The ghostly light was a few miles away and hovered just a few feet off the ground. They dismissed it as Native American campfires.
Sure.
But Robert Ellison's daughter, Julia, who is interviewed for the show, tells us that they just kept seeing these lights every night. They saw them the next night, the next week, the next month. This apparently went on for at least a year, according to Julia. And then we skip ahead in time. We see a photo of a woman named Hallie Stillwell, and the year was 1916. Hallie allegedly witnessed the same phenomenon. She was interviewed for the show, and she says that when she was a young girl, she was traveling with her family through Texas when they saw the strange lights off in the distance. Her family pulled their car over and got out to marvel at the lights. Hallie says that it couldn't have been car lights, but she doesn't really say why it couldn't have been car lights, so that's
it couldn't have been.
Not clear.
Because it's ghost lights.
Sure. So she says that at first they also dismissed the lights as campfires, but the lights didn't act like campfires, and we see a terrible reenactment that's clearly two dudes with flashlights.
What do you think of a theory that Robert Stack puts forth that it is Jackrabbits with glowworms attached to their tails.
I tried to find out who came up with that theory, but there's nothing on Google, so I kind of think they made it up.
You mean that perfect... That's the theory I'm going with.
That it was jackrabbits with glowworms
Attached to their tails. They were glowing so brightly you could see them from a
miles
distance,
away.
and that didn't occur anywhere else.
He also said that one of the theories was St. Elmo's fire, which is like this weird like weather phenomenon with like plasma or something.
No, it's that movie where Rob Lowe plays the saxophone badly.
Yes, it's also that. It's also that.
Oh man, if you don't know what I'm talking about, find a GIF of Rob Lowe pretending to play the saxophone while wearing a tank top with bats on it. It's something.
So Wikipedia says that St. Elmo's fire is a weather phenomenon in which luminous plasma is created by a coronal discharge from a sharp or pointed object in a strong electric field in the atmosphere, such as those generated by thunderstorms or created by a volcanic eruption. I don't even understand
I don't even
that.
know what that means.
I don't even understand that. So we'll go with jackrabbits with glowworms attached to their tails. I loved when Robert Stack said that because he was like trying not to smile.
Yeah.
Like, who came up with this, Robert Stack?
You could tell, like, right before they shot that, he was like, really? This is what I have to say? Really? All right.
I don't think it was that, but, let's not dismiss anything offhand. So their family called the mysterious lights ghost lights, and it seems like that sort of caught on.
Whoa.
In 1943, the mysterious lights were seen again near Marfa's army base. Fritz Kahl, who is listed only as a witness to the ghost lights, says that when he saw them, there was no vehicle traffic because fuel was rationed at the time.
Well, there you go.
They're going out of their way to make you know this could not have been headlights of cars. So after seeing the lights, Fritz and his army buddies asked around the village about them. To the villagers, the lights were a common occurrence, and they didn't think much about it.
And then they just, like, show this montage of all these people that are like, yeah, I saw the lights.
Right.
When I saw them, this happened. Oh, I've seen them several times.
Yeah.
And there's some great fashions in that moment.
Oh, yes.
Including a woman wearing a puffy paint shirt of cactuses. Which, if you are too young to know a time when you would unironically and unabashedly wear a shirt with a puffy paint design on it, you can never know what that was like. We thought
puffy paint was the shit.
That looked good.
I puff painted everything I could get my hands on.
It's
embarrassing how much
photo of me and a child is me in front of something like beautiful and like historic and ornate, and I'm standing there in a puff paint cat shirt. And I'm like, damn, I look good in this shirt.
Those were the days.
No.
Can you get me a photo of one of those photos for Instagram?
Oh my God, no.
just asking for a friend. So Robert Stack. Oh, this is where Robert Stack comes out in a very nice black peacoat to tell us that explanations for the Marfa lights range from ball lightning,
a felt
trench-like jacket. I remembered the word peacoat this time, you guys. Aren't you proud of me? Ball lightning, St. Elmo's fire, or jackrabbits with glowworms attached to their tails. And I just put a question mark in parentheses after that.
That's like the only note that I took on this whole segment was...
It's better than your next mystery, in which the only note I took was, damn, that's a fine booty.
Wow. Guys, the next mystery is horrific. And that's all Samantha wrote down. She's a terrible person.
Listen, I am. But it was a nice booty. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was the guy in the reenactment. The actual victim. Although he was playing a victim.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my God. Also.
No. Somehow.
In my defense.
That's not in my notes at all.
In my defense, I came home after. I walked to dinner on Friday night, had one or two alcoholic beverages, and then came home and watched this episode.
Oh, all right. Fair.
In my defense.
Your
if it can be defended.
Your defense is accepted. No one is going to appreciate how funny that is because it's really, we'll get to it, a horrific, terrifying crime.
It actually really is. Anyway, I've got a screenshot of the booty. I'll show it to you.
Oh, God. I was not expecting that at all.
Okay.
Samantha's off the rails, everyone.
I lost my place.
Ghost lights, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Jackrabbits, blah, blah, blah.
There's another guy who, okay, I don't even know who this guy is. He was wearing some hat, is all I...
This is what happens when Samantha walked his Unsolved Mysteries after 1 or 2 drinks. He was wearing some hat.
You know what?
It's like me every single time, but
Yeah.
there's a drop in professionalism from Samantha, bringing her down to my level.
I'm trying to follow my notes a little bit, and it's God, great. So this guy gets together with his friends and brothers, and they decide that the only reason no one has ever seen these lights up close is because they use cars or motor vehicles to like chase the lights down. So they go out into the desert one night. They walk for hours in hopes of getting close to the lights, but they can never get close. He describes it as a mirage. The lights just keep getting further and further away. What? Okay. So Unsolved Mysteries is on the case, and in July 1989, Unsolved Mysteries asks 3 scientists from the local observatory and university to conduct a formal investigation. There was a chemist, a geologist, and an astrologist.
Astronomer or astrologist?
I wrote down astrologist.
I'm guessing an
I
astronomer.
think it was probably an astronomer.
I mean,
Not an astrologist.
Maybe both would be helpful.
Maybe that's, you know what? Listen, maybe it was. So with them were 11 other technicians and observers. Because
maybe one of them was an astrologist.
Perhaps. So, because there's a highway that runs through the mountains right where people see the lights.
Oh, huh. That's interesting.
Weird, right? So, marker lights were placed on each end of the stretch of highway they were observing. The lights would go off when cars passed. This told the observers when vehicles were passing through so that they would not misidentify headlights as ghost lights.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they see a lot of headlights, which is the next note I wrote down. And then around 11 p.m., an unknown light appears. We see it on the camera. It passes the marker lights, and an observer near the road confirms that no cars were passing through at the time. Eventually, the light fades to nothing. Then it reappears for a brief time before again disappearing. The scientists all agree that people are seeing a light phenomenon that is more than just headlights, but they were not certain what it was. They speculate that the lights might be reflected starlight. Another one posits that they could be caused by gas being released during small earthquakes. I don't know. Here's the thing, you guys. People have done studies on this, and they're just fucking headlights.
Yeah. I'm sorry the world isn't as magical and interesting as you want it to be.
I was telling Liz before we were recording that Travis and I watched some show where the Marfa lights were featured. It wasn't like a documentary on the Marfa lights, but it was included in, I don't know, some random thing we found on Netflix a while ago. And they sent like a bunch of people, and I tried to find it on the internet. I think it's these physics students from the University of Texas at Dallas. They spent days investigating and recording lights observed southwest of the View Park using traffic volume monitoring equipment, video cameras, binoculars, and chase cars. Basically, whenever there's a car driving on this highway, the lights show up. So the headlights are being reflected off something in the environment that makes them appear to these people if you're standing in Marfa.
Right.
Which, there's debate about this because there was those cowboys before cars existed that claimed to have seen the lights, but...
But I don't see any proof that wasn't fires. Just because it showed up on a regular basis, that means it can't be campfires?
Yeah, nothing about that story said that the cowboys, rode their horses towards the lights to investigate.
No, they seemed fine with that just being at a distance.
Yeah. So according to HowStuffWorks.com, a group of scientists published a study in the Journal of Atmospheric and Solar Terrestrial Physics, which
One
sounds
of my favorite journals.
serious.
Yes,
on the
it
lights.
does.
After coming to a simpler conclusion, they determined that the lights are actually car headlights on nearby Highway 67 that appear warped as they travel across 20 miles of flatland. How Stuff Works mentioned the debate regarding rancher Ellison, who claimed to have seen the lights in the 1880s, which was long before automobiles began carving its path across America.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Anyway, this story was only handed down by word of mouth. It was never recorded. So it could have easily changed over the years or been exaggerated. Like, we don't actually really know what they saw. So, yeah, it's just headlights, you guys. There's also articles. Apparently, there's, like, some development that's going in that area that might, like, change where the highway is going. People are, like, worried that it's going to, like, impact tourism because if the lights go away, people aren't going to, like, come to Marfa to see the lights. I don't know if that's actually happened. I didn't read a lot into it. Probably because I was half drunk.
So I take care of a 5-year-old, and the other day he was asking me all these questions like, Liz, are vampires real? Did they used to be real in the old days?
In the old days?
But they died out? Are zombies real?
You told me that he was very disappointed to find out that zombies weren't real.
Yes. He was like, are any spooky things real? And it makes me sad that the world is not the magical place that he wants it to be.
That is sad.
I think that's the same thing with the Marfa ghost lights. Like,
Yeah.
we just want it to be more interesting than it is.
Yeah, we want it to be ghosts.
Or something.
Or aliens or something.
But it's just
They're
stupid
just
headlights. And it's very disappointing. And the whole world is an anticlimax.
Yeah, sorry about it.
Sorry about it. Vampires did not used to exist in the old days and then died out.
No.
It'd
be really cool if they did, though.
Yeah.
You have to admit.
Yeah.
I agree with them there.
Or maybe they evolved. No. Sorry.
They evolved? Did he really ask you if they had evolved?
Sometimes, yeah.
That's a very intellectual question.
Well, I think he sort of wants it to be like dinosaurs.
Okay.
You know?
Where they evolved into chickens or whatever?
Yeah.
Now vampires, what would bats? Would they be?
I guess.
They used to be.
Or humans.
Yeah.
Maybe we are all
Regular-
descended from vampires.
Maybe.
But the sad truth
Prove
is...
that we're not all descended from vampires, Liz.
I mean, I guess I can't. The only spooky thing I could come up with that was real is skeletons.
Which are spooky.
But they don't move around.
Wow.
So it's a little bit boring, really.
He was unimpressed with that.
Yeah, I was like, spiders? Bats? Sorry.
You didn't tell him that you were a witch?
No, I did not. I've already tried to convince him that I'm part lizard, so it's a weird running joke
How
that I have.
successful have you been on that one?
Well, okay, if you write down the word lizard and then underline the word Liz in it, that kind of blew his mind. So it almost slightly worked.
Almost. Did you kill the boys in the tracks?
I mean, where was I that night?
Yeah. Okay. Should we talk about the next one?
Yeah, where you're just booty obsessed.
Let me show you. He's got a nice booty.
No, I don't want to, because I have to talk about a serious thing right now.
I'm going to show you anyway.
No.
I put it on our Instagram story.
All right, do you want to hear about people's horrible demise while Samantha just lost after this reenactment
We
actor?
have to find some positive, uplifting
you're right.
moments in mysteries like that. It's like when all the dogs died. We had to remind ourselves that there were cute dogs.
Yeah.
These people died a horrible death.
But
the
someone
actor has a nice booty.
has a nice ass. All right, well.
Anyway, take it away.
Unexpected places. This is the unexplained death of Jay Cook and Tanya von Kloenborg.
Sure.
Kloenborg. Okay. Yeah, this is terrible. Samantha's right to try to lighten this up because it is an absolute fucking nightmare.
It is, actually.
It's really horrible.
Liz is right.
So, Jay was 20 years old. His girlfriend, Tanya, was 17. They were from Canada, and they were traveling to Seattle, Washington. I mean, yeah, just don't come to this country. Right? Is that
the moral of the story?
I think it is.
Yeah.
If you're in Canada,
just stay
bless
there.
you.
Just stay there.
You're better off. So they were buying something for Jay's father, but sort of using it as a romantic getaway for the couple. They've been together for like 6 months. They were very much in love.
It was sweet.
Both sets of parents seemed to be very happy with the relationship. It seemed good for both of them. Okay. So on November 18th, 1987, they left Victoria and they took a 4 p.m. ferry to Port Angeles, Washington. They drove Jay's father's van down Highway 101 to Hoodsport and arrived there at 8 p.m. and they drove through Allen. So it was believed that they boarded another car ferry and they went to downtown Seattle. However, they're never seen alive again. When they didn't get home the next day or call, their parents were understandably concerned. And on November 20th, 2 days later, the couple was reported missing. Unfortunately, by November 24th, Tanya is found raped and shot to death in Washington. Her body is bound with plastic ties. She's partly undressed. When Tanya's family is told about the death, they're told to prepare themselves for the fact that Jay may be the killer because his body wasn't found at the same location.
Yeah.
But it's not him. Sadly for Jay's family, he is also dead. They found the van the next day after finding Tanya's body. It had blood inside. It had plastic zip ties and surgical gloves. Searching the area 2 blocks away, which I found kind of impressive, under like a tavern deck kind of thing, like the entrance to the restaurant, they found Tanya's driver's license, half a box of ammunition, and more zip ties, and a box of plastic gloves. So they did a good search for that to find that evidence.
They did.
I mean, it just keeps being sad, so hang in there.
It doesn't get much better, actually.
No. So 2 days later, on November 26th, Jay's body is found. He was beaten and strangled to death. His body was also bound with zip ties. He was found underneath a bridge near Monroe. I think that was on Thanksgiving Day that they found him. Ugh,
it was bad. It was bad.
Poor family.
They do a lot of speculating.
Yes.
About what could have happened. I didn't see much evidence to support any of their theories.
For some reason, and this was information that they were like withholding, they said that the manner in which Jay was beaten suggested that the culprit was familiar with the prison system. I have no idea what that means.
No clue whatsoever.
And I couldn't find anyone that did.
No. It makes no sense.
I don't know.
How are there different ways of beating people?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
Was he beaten with a phone book? I don't understand what that means. So what they speculate is that while on the ferry, someone approached Jay and Tanya and asked for a ride.
Which could have happened. But they don't know that happened. Who knows?
That someone was like...
They also could have picked up a hitchhiker.
Or... I don't know. They were carjacked. Or they were walking to the car and someone leapt out. I mean, there is 2 of them. But even so...
If someone has a gun...
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. It's easy to
Yeah.
Get people to cooperate. And a lot of times you probably would cooperate.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you would think, okay, if I just go along with this person, maybe they're just going to rob me and leave.
Absolutely. And that would be a totally
Reasonable
appropriate reaction. Yeah. So they have a reenactment of them being on the ferry and someone approaching them and saying like, hey, I don't live far. But they have no idea if that's what happened.
No. They try to kind of make them sound like they were super gullible.
Yeah.
And that they would have fallen for someone, but...
I don't know that that's really fair, because we have no idea what happened. These are young people, so maybe they would be more gullible than other people.
And maybe that is what happened, but they don't know, and it doesn't seem fair to...
Is it just that Canadians are not prepared for the United States?
The brutal streets of Seattle, Washington?
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I don't know either.
This is a freak.
They were grasping at straws.
Really,
which you
really
want to.
Terrible, horrible crime. This isn't like a common... I don't know.
It almost made me think that this is like some sort of serial killer or something.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. So here's what else happens with the case. This part is also extremely horrific and kind of makes me want to cry or die. I'm not sure. So, his body is found on Thanksgiving. By the Christmas holidays, the families are receiving taunting, disturbing greeting cards, supposedly from the killers. Over 3 years, they received 19 cards between the two families that would often use the phrase, "Hallelujah, bloody Jesus," and say, I am the happiest person on earth. I am currently on a Michael Jackson tour of the world. Your son was killed in the following way.
So terrible and so weird.
I mean, the idea that someone would kill your children and then continue to taunt you about it just is so awful. But what it turns out is they did find the person that wrote those letters, and it's not the murderer.
Yeah.
It was a mentally disturbed individual in Canada who had read about the murders in the paper and somehow found the family's addresses and just was sending them these bizarre letters because they were not well.
Yeah.
And they were tracked down in a public library in Canada and arrested. But after speaking with them, they're not the killer. Yeah, it's just like it's an added horrible element.
Yes.
Of this already terrible situation, just making it harder for the family to move on.
Yeah,
and
really
what
awful.
a nightmare. What a nightmare.
It's really awful.
The most recent thing about the case is that this case is not closed. It is cold. It happened a long time ago, but they are still following up leads. They pointed to the fact that they found the person that wrote the letters as evidence that they could still find the killers. They've recently released these like composite sketches based on the killer's DNA.
What?
Yes.
What?
Which they like have, since they have the DNA.
This is some bogus forensic file shit.
It doesn't sound super legit to me, but they have some DNA from one of the gloves, and they like used that to guess what he would look like based on his DNA markers. And they released those sketches, and they offer 3 different ages depending on how old he would have been at the time of the crime.
Okay.
So that was like a very recent development in the case. Robert Stack points out that Jay's waist-length black ski jacket with red piping is missing, as well as Tanya's olive drab day pack and her camera. They give the serial number. Her lens was like found at a pawn shop eventually, but that lead didn't lead anywhere.
I mean, knowing that what we know about what's happened this week with DNA, maybe someday.
Yeah, it's in the system. It hasn't had any matches yet. If they're right and the person had been in prison before, they probably were in prison before people like we were before tracking DNA.
Testing.
Here's the sketch. I'm going to show Samantha the possible based on his DNA.
Okay.
It seems
that's bullshit.
So skeptical to me, but I mean, what do I know? I guess.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I'm glad they found the letter writer. I realized that person wasn't well. The statute of limitations for harassment had already passed by the time they found them also, so...
As long as they were able to stop the person.
Yeah, I think he had
letters.
already stopped and was remorseful and had, like, gotten some help since then. And,
okay, well, I guess that's good.
But it is, I mean, just like, ugh, it's a really awful element. Other than that one actor had a nice ass.
Yeah, you can see a nice ass and some dad jeans. If that's what you're into.
I mean, somehow I didn't notice this.
Well, you were probably focused on how horrible the entire thing was.
Yeah, I was about to like.
Meanwhile, I was just like enjoying the reenactments. Otherwise, the reenactments weren't. I mean, how could you make them any? Better? But
no, I mean they're not as terrifying as some of the reenactments we've seen because we don't see the attack. It's not like the Audrey Moat case where she's like running off in her slip into the swamps, which will haunt me for the rest of my days. Oh, okay. Speaking of serial killers, 2 serial killers have been questioned in relation to this case, I should say,
okay.
which is Robert Yates and Charles Sinclair, because both of them were active in the Seattle area in 1987. However, DNA evidence has cleared them of any involvement.
Okay.
But I'm guessing it is
some sort of
serial killer based on the zip ties and just...
very premeditated.
Seems very organized, and the fact that they haven't been caught and no one's confessed. This is not someone's only crime.
No, and what I've learned also from reading Michelle McNamara's book is that like it takes a lot to attack a couple.
Yeah.
You know, where there's 2 against 1. It has to be someone who's a little more experienced and a little more ballsy
Right.
You know, a crime of opportunity.
You would
you're
lead
not,
up to that. Yeah.
You're not just going to suddenly
It's very
attacking couples.
It's very unfortunate. So stay in Canada if you're already there.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. We have one more mystery.
This has my MVM in it.
It has my MVM in it. Too.
Okay.
There weren't a lot of mustaches in this episode, so
No.
we probably picked the same
It's
guy.
Mustache Bear.
Yes. So this is about Salvatore Caruana. Who
I think it rhymes with marijuana.
Oh, okay. Yes. Is a career criminal wanted for smuggling narcotics and connections to organized crime. He was first arrested in 1954 for armed robbery and possession of firearms, but later moved to narcotics as a mob soldier in New England in the 1970s. What is a mob soldier? I'm reading off the Unsolved Mysteries wiki.
A member of the mob, I'm assuming.
Sure. In 1979, one distributor bought $4 million from Caruana. He was the supervisor at the operations. Oh my god, this is the worst Unsolved Mysteries wiki ever. So, you guys, I did not take notes on this one because I was just too tired.
She was sitting around thinking about that booty.
I was getting sleepy. So this is off the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and I'm going to do my best. So he arrived at the place where the marijuana was stored, weighed it exactly, and made sure everything was correct before smuggling. After being arrested on November 27th...
That was a terrible sentence.
This whole thing is awful. On November 27th, 1983, he was arrested for possession of $40 million worth of marijuana, along with smuggling and drug trafficking. Caruana faced a life sentence. However, he paid his own $500,000 bail and vanished on April 2nd, 1984. 2 days before his trial was set to begin. In 1985, a multi-state task force was established by the Drug Administration oh my god, you guys. And if I had known that it was this bad, I would have typed it out myself. They determined that smuggling was only a facade for a much larger operation of money laundering.
Oh my goodness.
This case is really boring, which is another reason why I didn't really take any notes on it. On February 6, 1987, his home was raided in Peabody, Massachusetts. Outside, there were several security cameras and an advanced home security system. Inside, they found several hidden passageways and several weapons.
I'm sad I don't have any hidden passageways.
No, I wish we had more money. We're building a house right now, and listen, if I could afford hidden passageways, you bet we'd have them. But I can't. It's very sad.
That is very sad. It's a tragedy, really.
It is. They were able to trace him to a condo in East Hampton, but when the FBI arrived, he again vanished. This is a slippery guy, you guys. They learned he used several computer programs to connect his partners in the operation.
So impressed that he knew how to use a computer.
Yeah. What did they call it? Online bulletin boards, I think?
Yes. I just wrote down the phrase computer technology.
I also really liked the kind of like scary reenactment they tried to do with this computer where it kind of like slowly panned around his shoulder to reveal that he was typing on a computer.
Yes.
He was on the internet.
He used it to launder money and also send secret messages to his wife that they couldn't trace because they would delete them. And I don't know. I guess you could actually... There was a time where you could actually delete things on a computer and they would be gone.
Gone forever. So then on May 23rd, 1987, in Groton, Connecticut, FBI and narcotics agents tracked him to a local motel, but he vanished before they arrived. In the room, they found that he had a number of automatic weapons.
A briefcase full of money.
Yes. They first thought that he had just left minutes earlier, but then they found spoiled food and newspapers that suggested that he had been missing from the area for several weeks. His van, keys, wallet, and camera case.
They couldn't notice that immediately. They're like, wait a second, this food is all spoiled.
I think they would smell it.
That's what I thought.
It's weird.
I don't know that they're too bright.
There was a submachine gun in a camera case.
That was something else I wrote down. He was always known to carry a camera case, and people suspected there was an Uzi in it. And I was like, that is a man of mystery. That I approve of. Also, big fucking camera case, right?
Right.
Oh, that's what I carry my Uzi in.
You know.
Okay.
We carry our Uzis in our Cackling Has to Top tote bags.
Well, of course. As everyone should.
Don't you?
No, don't. Actually, do not do that.
A month later, the van was found at a police impound lot. It had previously been found abandoned at a Connecticut truck stop. Investigators determined that the van had been wiped clean. Based on evidence, the FBI believed that Caruana might have been murdered by the mob, but the fact that there was no body suggested that he could still be alive and that he could potentially have staged his own disappearance. Possibly he could have faked his own death. So they give his deeds. He's 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, has brown eyes and black hair. He should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. He also goes by the aliases...
Oh, a guy that carries an Uzi around with him? Yeah, he probably is armed.
Yeah, he also goes by the aliases John Michael Hurley, Vincent Spirito, Face, and Mickey.
Yes.
Face. How did he get that nickname? Just Face?
Just literally Face.
That's the worst nickname ever.
It's
also, look at this guy.
Kind of badass. But yeah, he doesn't deserve the nickname Face. Brows, maybe.
He does have caterpillar brows.
I would give him the alias Brows.
These are Instagram-worthy brows these days. But...
Well, they could use a little more shape.
Well, yeah.
So I had 2 mustaches in this episode. They both belong to DEA agents.
Yes, I think I know who you're talking about.
I sketched 2 of them. So one of them I'm calling the Pizza Hut because it looks a lot like the Pizza Hut logo. And then there was another bushier one that I would refer to as the Shrub.
Do you have their names?
No, they're just DEA agents. I don't care what their names are.
Is this the Shrub?
Yeah, that's the Shrub.
So he didn't have a name the entire thing. I don't know if they were like hiding his identity, but it's very unruly.
Yeah, it's
got several peaks and valleys.
It could use some maintenance.
And then the other one who did have a name, Detective Robert Gebbo. Was this guy?
No, that was not the Pizza Hut.
Okay, I didn't snap a picture of the Pizza Hut. Can I see your sketch of the Pizza Hut?
Yeah, it's like this.
I missed that one somehow. It does look like the Pizza Hut logo.
It's also brunette.
Okay.
These are both.
Was that a very thin mustache?
I mean, it's
kind of wispy.
It's thinner than the Shrub.
There was a guy who
but
had
it's not like John Waters wispy.
No, but there was a guy who had kind of like a thin mustache. Not thin in shape, but like it wasn't thick and bushy.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Remembering them. We'll get.
You were too drunk.
I was. Check out I was too drunk off of like 2 ciders or whatever the fuck I had for dinner on Friday night. In my defense, I drank them on an empty stomach. And I'm a lightweight. Which, is anyone surprised? No. Okay, so
this episode is so off the rails.
I know. It's you guys, I'm sorry. So, there's some extra notes here. In October 1990, the remains of 3 men were found buried underneath a garage in Hamden, Connecticut. One body was positively identified as Theodore Burns, who I don't remember who that was.
Sure.
Someone in the mob. The other 2 were never identified. However, some sources claimed that Caruana was one of the other victims. Burns was allegedly having an affair with Caruana's wife after Caruana went on the run in 1984. According to a mob associate, Jack Johns, he, being Caruana, William Garasso, and 2 other mob associates murdered Burns and buried him under the garage in 1986. Before his death in 1989, Garasso told Johns that he had Caruana killed and that Caruana's body was also buried under the same garage. However, it is unknown if the remains found under the garage were ever identified as Caruana. He is still listed as a wanted fugitive, so they must not have been. But it kind of seems like, I don't know, he could have escaped, but it also seems like he could have been killed by the mob. I don't know. Also, I just didn't care that much.
It's really boring.
So this last mystery
I was kind of like, just let the guy sell all that pot. Who cares?
Yeah, what?
Also, he sold marijuana and his name rhymed with marijuana. Coincidence?
I think not.
This makes me worry a little bit that there's someone buried under my garage. I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm going to worry about that now.
Should we rate this episode?
I guess. Whatever.
Mysteriousness?
Actually, pretty mysterious. Not the ghost lights. But we have
several
unsolved cases here.
The ghost lights would have been mysterious if you had only watched this episode. Because at the end of it, the 3 scientists...
So this is very mysterious.
Didn't really have an answer.
We have Missing Dale. We have unsolved gruesome murders. And we have whatever the hell happened to this guy. Plus spooky lights.
Spooky lights. So it was
thumbs way up,
mysterious. I say. Yeah, I'm a thumbs up for mysteriousness. Reenactments, we're fine. I don't know.
I mean, you got to see a butt you were into. So I think you should say thumbs up, and I'm going to say sideways.
I did like the butt. I also liked the cowboy reenactments.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They were really pretty. I thought they were well done in the first one. So yeah, I'm a thumbs up. Fashion.
Oh, thumbs up.
Thumbs
I wrote
up.
down fashions, exclamation point, multiple times. All the witnesses to the ghost lights. Those
They were
are some
great.
real fashions.
That was some Texas real people fashion.
Yeah. Also, Dale's family. You got to see an array of fashions from them, really. Mm-hmm. As they debated whether or not their father was a thief or not. Oh, yeah. I would give that a thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Robert Stack's outfits?
Bleh. Yeah, not that interesting.
Thumbs down. Out of a possible 5 Robert Stacks, what would you say?
3?
Yeah, I'd say a 3.
I'm kind of interested in this horrific murder case and the letters. The letters is so creepy.
There have to be more theories about who could have murdered
Yeah.
this.
It's disturbing how many serial killers were in the area at that time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Seattle, lots of serial killers in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good case. I wish Dale's family knew what happened to him, but
I know.
I'm guessing he didn't steal that platinum.
I don't think he did.
I don't think so.
Why would he leave his truck?
Actually, there's no evidence
His
that he did.
cigarettes.
Even
his
if he
lunch.
even if he stole the platinum because he was in debt, it's not like he paid off his debts.
No,
So it doesn't make any sense.
it makes no sense.
Would he really want to leave his children and his grandchildren and for what? Yeah, I don't think he was involved.
Me neither.
I think he's a victim somewhere, possibly under someone's garage.
Possibly.
Sorry,
so,
Dale.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 Robert Stacks for that one. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it for this episode. I'm hoping they start to get a little bit more interesting, because this one was not super great. We got some history in our next one.
Yes, we're going to have our resident history nerd, Rochelle, come because we cannot be trusted to talk about Herman Hesse.
No, and also we had her on to talk about Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Assuming that she was interested in Alcatraz.
She was
And she was
not.
too nice to tell us that she wasn't. So she came on the show.
It's like,
and,
I actually don't care about this at all.
had to talk about
So
Alcatraz.
we told her she could pick something else.
And she picked episode 6 of this season. So
Yeah.
next week we'll have help. So it's going to be a great episode.
Yeah, that,
I promise I'll be sober when I watch that one.
I mean, maybe don't be.
Maybe.
Maybe this is what the show needs.
We could be drunk while we're recording. Be like
That's like
drunk history
every
style.
other show.
I realize we act drunk, but we are totally sober.
No, we're just unprofessional.
Yeah,
we're stone cold sober.
Let's make up a picture of mimosas for next week.
Okay.
Because we're going to watch the parade next week, too.
Yes, we'll be celebrating the May Day parade here in the Powderhorn neighborhood, which is always a really good time. If you're not from Minneapolis,
I'm looking forward
quite
to
an
it.
event.
I love a parade.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll get day drunk and then talk about Herman Hesse.
Sure. Who wouldn't do that?
a normal-
Everyone?
That's a normal thing to
Every
do.
normal person? Well, my recommendation will prove just how normal I am.
Oh, great.
So despite the fact that the Golden State Killer was caught, this wasn't really a great week for me. Pretty lackluster week.
Sure.
So I was like, ugh, I don't have anything in pop culture to recommend.
Yep.
I don't have another Drag Race Thailand that got me through this week. So I had to think back to the past.
Okay.
What's something that our listeners need to know about? And that's when I remembered the Funeral Museum in Houston,
Ooh.
which is a super cool place. So this was years ago, went to Houston to visit some friends. Hello, Josette and Justin. And despite being in Houston for like a little bit over a day.
You somehow found a death-related...
Yeah.
Thing to
Apparently
do?
Houston has a really nice zoo. Wouldn't know.
I've heard good things about the zoo.
I went to the funeral museum and I later saw Howard Hughes' grave. That's how I spent my time there. I highly, highly recommend the funeral museum. It is a strange, interesting place. It has tons of historic hearses,
Ooh.
including like horse-drawn carriage hearses. They're beautiful.
Wow.
They have a section on how the popes are buried, which is in a series of coffins, one of which is welded shut.
Oh.
So don't worry about zombie popes, guys. Those popes are not
I
getting
was
out of
so
there.
worried about zombie popes. That would make a great movie.
Zombie popes?
Zombie popes.
I would watch the hell out of that. There's a whole section on like Victorian mourning rituals.
Which are so fascinating.
Yes. There's really cool stuff, like a quilt that's made out of the ribbons that came with funeral flowers.
Oh.
Which our ribbons today, not nearly nice enough to do that, but
Yeah.
back in the day, man. Back in the day when people showed respect for the dead. Good
You can make a quilt out of the ribbons?
Yes.
Who collected all those ribbons?
I think this was something they did, is they had to just sit in their house mourning, you know?
All the people that died.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly colorful quilt.
Oh.
I mean, it's been a while since I've been there, so I don't know that all these things are still there, but they had a game where you could, like, guess celebrity epitaphs from graves. They had a pretty hilarious gift shop. They had an internal flame that wasn't lit.
Oh.
There's just sort of things
Okay.
there that were really random. Like, there was a giant picture of the Boris Karloff Frankenstein monster with absolutely no...
What does that have to do with funerals?
Yeah. Well, I was like, why is that there? Just because it's cool? Okay.
Sure.
I was really, I had a great time. I highly, highly recommend it.
Nice. Well, if you're in Texas to see the Marfa lights and those that
Yes.
don't excite you,
I mean,
swing by the funeral
I feel
museum.
like people end up in Houston for work.
Sure.
So if you're ever just there and you're like, what am I going to do while I'm here? Oh, right. I'm going to go see a 3-person coffin
Oh.
that they had for a family that was planning to commit group suicide, but then they didn't end up using it.
Okay.
So if you're there with 2 friends, you can get your picture taken in front of a 3-person coffin.
I thought you were going to say inside the 3-person coffin. That would be cool.
You can't touch it. It's a museum.
Okay, well, whatever.
I recommend the funeral museum over, I'm going to say, the Museum of Death,
Oh, okay.
which is, I've been to the one in LA. There's also one in New Orleans now. That's an interesting experience. When I went in, for some reason it came up that I was from Illinois, and the owner was like, oh, good thing I'm not wearing my Gacy clown costume today. And I was like, ha. Oh.
What?
That wasn't a joke. He often wears a replica Gacy clown costume.
Okay.
While working
Add
the
that to
desk.
the list of places I will never be.
They do have a conjoined twin, like, turtle or tortoise. That's pretty cool.
That's alive?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I once saw an albino conjoined tortoise twin.
Where?
It was at a zoo.
Oh,
But I'm
whoa.
not sure which one.
But that's just in the gift shop. I recommend just stopping by and going to the gift shop. So the thing is, you might know I'm a little bit morbid and a little bit off,
What?
maybe.
You wait.
The Museum of
What?
Death,
Are you?
I'm going to officially say, is too much for me.
Wow. That is saying something.
I mean, perhaps the fact that guy dresses up like
Okay,
Gacy
that's just creepy.
is well, so the museum has artwork by serial killers if you wanted to see some of Gacy's paintings.
Okay.
It does have a section on funerals, which I thought was pretty cool. It has a section on public executions.
Okay.
Probably my favorite thing that they have, and maybe it's worth going to see just for this, is a quilt made by the Manson family. Yes, well, it is calico swastikas.
Oh, God.
Because
That's interesting.
they were the Manson family.
Well, yeah.
But there is tons of cool stuff there.
What was too dark about it for you?
There's a lot of photos, and they are just mixed in with other exhibit objects. So you cannot really avoid autopsy photos,
Okay.
crime scene photos, and also photos taken by murderers of them gloating with body parts.
Okay, that I can't do. I was with you for a second. I'm like, autopsy photos, I like it. Crime scene photos, I like it a little less, but I could handle it. That, can't handle.
And it's just
I can't do that one.
everywhere.
Really?
And
yeah, I couldn't do
it
that.
made me kind of sick.
Yeah.
And
that one.
I ended up just speeding through the end of the museum. There is, like, when you go in, they give you, like, a little warning, like, this contains graphic content, like, some people have fainted, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ha, 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 like,
I can deal with this.
I came there wearing a dress covered in bones and, like, a skeleton necklace, right? I was like, this place is made for me, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about this at all, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, I can never unsee that.
I understand it's the Museum of Death, but it would be nice if they put that all together and it was an area you could skip.
Yeah, I honestly, I think it's kind of disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's not a moral judgment on the people that put the museum together. That's me saying it's too much for me. So
Yeah.
that's I would prefer going and seeing, like, cool old hearses
Yeah.
than seeing someone holding up a severed head and smiling.
Oh, God. Yeah. You have to admit, and then if I was the family member of a victim and I knew that a photo like that was in a museum for people to go look at, I would not. That's not okay.
It's to me really the definition of bad taste.
Yeah. That's not okay.
So just something to be aware of if you're considering going. But
maybe go to the funeral museum instead.
You might see some stuff that you can't unsee. It's burned into your brain.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, check out the funeral museum if you're ever in Houston. It's a very enjoyable time. And their slogan is like, every day above ground is a good one.
I love it. I would good. Get that on a t-shirt.
I think you can.
I'm sure you could.
I'm going to look into that for you.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm recommending a book. It's been a minute since I've recommended a book. And I'm recommending this book because, well, one, I really enjoyed it. And two, it's not like books I've recommended in the past. So it is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. So if you read YA, you might already have this author on your radar. I don't, so she hadn't been. But I've been watching a lot of BookTube lately, which is just people on YouTube talking about books. It's like beauty YouTubers, only with books. And a lot of booktubers read a lot of YA. So she came up, and the plots of the books that were described sounded interesting to me. So I picked up this one. This is not YA. So Victoria Schwab writes YA under her own name, Victoria Schwab, and then adult novels under the pseudonym V.E. Schwab.
Okay.
So this is one of her adult novels, and it's a part of a trilogy, the Shades of Magic trilogy. So I finished the first one, and I'm like a quarter of the way through the second one. And I like the first one more than I'm liking the second one, but the second one's good too. It's felt a little YA to me, I think mainly because the characters were a little young.
Okay.
And also it's a little Harry Potter-esque. So it's fantasy in the vein of Harry Potter. It's set in a magical world.
Not this boring real world where ghost lights are just stupid headlights.
Yes, exactly. If you want to lose yourself in an actual magical world, you could read this book. So I was never a Harry Potter fan. Not that I actively disliked it, but it's not a book that I was interested in. I wasn't obsessed.
Samantha, are you willing to admit that to the world right now?
There are people. Listen, we've had some distance from Harry Potter. I feel like it's okay these days to admit that you.
I'm not into it. So it's fine.
All my friends were, but I think I read the first one and I just wasn't motivated to read more. So I say that because I think you would like this book regardless of whether or not you enjoyed Harry Potter or books like that. The premise is that it's a magical world and there's 4 alternate universes. And it's set in London. So there's Black London, Grey London, Red London, and White London. And the people who can travel between the worlds are these magicians. And only the royal families in each world are supposed to know about the existence of the different worlds. So one world has no magic in it. That would be Grey London, which is kind of like our real life world. And then Red London has a lot of magic. And I'm not going to give too much away about the others, because I think you just need to read the book and that would be a little bit of a spoiler. But I really like it. The world building was really well done. I thought that the magic was not cheesy or weird. I thought that it was, believable is not the right word to say, but like just well done. Yeah. The characters I really enjoyed. There's a strong female character that I really like. She was kind of a spitfire, spunky girl. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I think people will like it. I'm going to read more. I didn't love the audiobook for the first one.
Oh, okay.
The narrator's not great. The voice he does for the female character made her sound way more young than I think she actually was, which probably contributed to my feeling that it was a little more YA, because it does have a lot of adult themes and is at a higher reading level than YA, but I think he made her sound very young, which impacted my enjoyment of the book.
Wait, is this Red London?
Yes, it was exactly that, only a man doing it, which makes it sound weird. So I would recommend reading the first book. The second one, though, has 2 narrators. There's a female narrator and a male narrator, and they're both really good, and I really like how that's done.
Clearly, people were not too impressed with the first one. They got new people.
Not really. I'm going to continue to read the trilogy. I'll read the rest of the second one, and I'll read the third one. She's written a lot of other, both YA and adult novels.
Interesting.
So if you're into both of those genres, you might enjoy this author. And yeah, that's about all I had.
Ghost lights aren't real. Vampires did not exist in the old days, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
prove that they didn't.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Fortunately, zombies aren't real.
Yeah.
I've watched The Walking Dead.
That's a blessing.
Yes, we don't want zombies.
No. If you need an alias, maybe don't pick face.
Yeah, that's a terrible alias.
Do we have any other takeaway moments from this episode? Stay in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's about it. Should we plug our shit? So follow us on social media at Perhaps It's You, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
If you have a paranormal experience or story you would like to share with us, that's perhapsitsyouPodcast@gmail.com.
Support the show on Patreon if you feel so inclined. Patreon.com/perhapsitsyou. You get a bonus episode every month. This month, we're doing Mothman.
Yes.
We're going to watch something on Mothman. I'm really looking forward to it.
Our episode about deadly women just went up. If you haven't
I think it's a good
heard
episode.
that one.
We had a lot of fun doing it.
So that's donations of any amount, get you that bonus content.
We're thinking about making some new Patreon rewards to be announced. So
Oh, yeah. Thanks for everyone that pledged after we said we were giving away a portrait of Robbie Stackey.
in beads.
Yes. So this time, the first person to pledge more than $1 will get a portrait of Robbie Stackey returning to his home planet because he hates Minnesota.
Ooh, you're going to give that one away?
Yes, I will. Because
That's exciting.
people seemed into it.
And we are coming up with some more Patreon rewards. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
We want to give some more back to you guys who give to us. And I thought I had something else to say about Patreon, but it's left my brain.
Yeah, our next one will be Mothman. We do have a couple tote bags left. If
Oh,
you
that's
want
what
to
I wanted
order
to mention.
those.
Your dad got us some special trinkets.
Yes, so we have some sort of luggage tags that we're going to put on the last few remaining tote bags, and that's the only way you can get those. They say Perhaps It's You on one side, and they have a photo of us on the other side. Something you definitely want.
If you recall back, what episode? It was early on in the podcast.
We got some magnets for
Your dad made us some
joke.
Shutterfly magnets.
Dad joke giveaway magnets.
That we gave away. Your dad now, did you even know that these were coming?
No, they just arrived.
They just showed up. These Shutterfly luggage tags, which, yeah, I have nowhere to write your address on it or your name.
Look, they're just going to be a cute little fob you can have on your Cackling Has to Stop tote bag, and it'll say Perhaps It's You.
Or you could put it on your luggage,
And it'll
I guess.
have me, you, and Robbie Stackey. You could add your, address label.
Go look I'll post a photo on Instagram. You can see what they look like. And there's only a few tote bags left. If you order one, you will also get
While supplies last.
this little luggage tag with
Some of you will get these luggage tags.
our faces on them.
Thank
you, Liz's dad.
We only have a couple of them.
Yeah. Oh, I think
Is that
that's all we
it?
have.
If you feel like giving us a 5-star review on iTunes or what was formerly known as iTunes or however that works.
Apple Podcasts now.
Yeah, we only accept 5-star reviews and we love them.
They warm our cold, stony hearts every
Yeah.
time we see a 5-star review.
So
We love it when you say you're giving us 5 out of 5 Robert Stacks.
yes.
It gets, no matter how many people do it, it gets me every time.
That's how we know you're truly a mystery solver.
Yes.
It's if you're rating things out of Robert Stacks in your day-to-day life.
Yep. This taco is 5 out of 5 Robert Stacks.
I had some tacos last night. I would say they were only three out of 5 hours. So they were not great.
That's a tragedy.
It was a little bit sad. But also, someone brought tacos to my house, so can I really complain?
Well, you know.
You know.
All right, that's all we have for you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep on cackling.
Bye.
Bye.